Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Joe Werther, and I'm senior lecturer here at Georgia Southwestern State University. And I want to talk to you a little bit about Chapter 14, kind of summarize the chapter for you. The name of the chapter is called Managerial Accounting, and managerial accounting is a little different than financial accounting, which was Accounting 2101. In managerial accounting, we're talking about working inside the business and making estimates and predictions about the future. Where with Accounting 2101 or financial accounting, we were creating financial statements based on all the past events and transactions that happened. So this is more future-oriented accounting. This is concerned about cost. And with this course, we're going to be mainly concerned with a manufacturing environment. There's three types of businesses: manufacturing, service, and merchandising. And we're going to be concerned about manufacturing mostly, and that's working in the factory and working in the plant, because manufacturing is starting to come back in this country. For a long time now, it's been service oriented, but it is starting to become more manufacturing based as we go into the future. So that's the gist of the course. Now, as you start looking at Chapter 14 and looking at the PowerPoints, the first 7 or 8 pages of Chapter 14, I mostly have everybody just read those pages and look at such areas as management functions and the differences between managerial accounting and Accounting 2101 financial accounting. I'll certainly ask you something about that. And then when you get over here to page 757, look at organizational structure. I want you to know what the treasurer and what the controller is responsible for. And pretty much when you get to page 758, be able to tell me something about the Sarbanes-Oxley Act and what that's all about. And that's in the business ethics section on page 758. And so when we move over to page 760, and by the way, everything up to page 758, you're going to see probably 7 multiple choice conceptual type questions on the first exam concerning the information all the way up to page 758. So those first 7 or 8 pages of the chapter, you just need to read and study those pages, because there won't be anything computational on that material, but there will be theoretical questions coming from those pages. Now, when we get over to page 760, we need to, of course, know what manufacturing costs are, what make up manufacturing cost. And there's 3 costs: direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. And we need to know, we know what direct materials and direct labor are, but manufacturing overhead, on the bottom of page 760, we need to know the different costs that go into manufacturing overhead, such as indirect labor, indirect materials, depreciation on plant and equipment, rent on the plant, taxes and utilities on the plant. Anything that says plant or factory that's not direct labor or direct materials is manufacturing overhead. Okay, now let me state that again. You have direct materials, and direct labor. Okay, those are two costs that can be traced directly to the product. Manufacturing overhead, you may have a lot of costs, different smaller costs. It has to be related to the factory or the plant for it to be considered a product cost. Because you have three product costs: direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead. Now, any of those small costs that don't fall into the category of manufacturing overhead are going to be period costs. And those costs are mainly administrative, operational or sales cost. Any cost that's not associated with the plant or factory is a period cost. All the other costs, direct materials, direct labor, and manufacturing overhead, are called the product cost. Okay, so definitely know the difference between the product and the period cost. Okay, and that's on page 761. Now, with managerial accounting, we have a new statement. In financial accounting, you learn the balance sheet and the income statement and the statement of cash flows. And in this course, you will use the income statement a little bit, but and you also use the balance sheet. You probably won't use the cash flow statement at all, but the income statement and the balance sheet you will use. Well, there's a new statement that actually fits in the income statement, and that's called the cost of goods manufactured statement, and that is on the bottom of page 763. And you need to kind of, or actually a really good outline of it is on the bottom of page 764. You need to study that outline. I'm not going to have you write a statement out, but there will be many multiple choice questions asking you about cost of goods manufactured. Now, here's another big difference between Accounting 2101 and the financial accounting and managerial accounting. With financial accounting, you just had one asset called inventory. Okay, inventory was a current asset. In managerial accounting, you've got three inventory accounts. You've got raw materials, work in process, and finished goods. Okay, so in this type of accounting that you're going to study this semester, there are three inventory accounts instead of just one. And that's not a problem. Those three accounts end up on the balance sheet, and it pretty much works the same way as it did with merchandise inventory that you studied in Accounting 2101. So keep that in mind. Three inventory accounts in managerial accounting. Okay, the last part of the chapter, again, focuses mainly on, this is on page 770, on theoretical type questions. I would expect you to know the value chain on page 770, the different costs that go in the different areas of the value chain. So it's not that difficult. I mean, if you look at it, it's pretty straightforward. Design, research and development, production, customer service, marketing. It's really a pretty straightforward process. Okay, so I would want you to know something about the value chain, and I want you to know what just-in-time inventory systems are about, and what enterprise resource planning systems, be able to give me the definition of that. And that's pretty much it for chapter 14. I'm going to be trying to do a problem in the future, do another video demonstrating a problem from chapter 14, which should help you with your homework. Now, let's talk about the homework. It's in Wiley Plus, and you have the solutions to all the exercises and all the problems in the textbook, and the homework comes from the textbook. Okay, the homework will be probably one or two of those problems. The only difference is your numbers will be a little bit different in Wiley Plus than the numbers in the textbook. But you can take the problem in the textbook and you have the solution, and you can work through the problem, and then you go online in Wiley Plus and you should be able to do the problem in Wiley Plus using a different set of numbers. That's going to be the only difference. And this is the first semester that I've did this, because I want you to get the homework right, because there's 40 extra points built into the homework. You only need 100 points, but I'm going to make the homework worth 140 points. So any points that you get over 100 points, you get to apply to your point total of your 3 exams. So keep that in mind. I would do as much homework as possible. I try to get all the homework done and try to get the full 140 points, or at least get close to it, because like I said, any points over 100 points, you can take those extra points and apply them to your first 3 exam scores. And it's possible you can raise probably 1 or 2 letter grades from where you would have been if you did not do all the homework. So that's my advice. Read the PowerPoints, scan the chapters. I know they take a while to read, but if you go through the PowerPoints and go through the diagrams that I outlined in the chapter, and study the areas that I tell you to study, that there'll be theoretical questions on. The questions where you have to solve problems, I have placed a number of multiple choice questions out there that you can practice with. They will be very similar to the questions that you'll see on the exam. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to go on the discussion board or email me. You should be fine. This first test is normally the best test for everybody. Everybody usually does the best on the first exam. So I'm hoping that all of you do well on this exam. But anyway, stay tuned, and I will be putting out there another video on chapter 15. Thank you very much.